Welcome back to another RET Paladin video. Verabin here. Today there is some huge changes coming into the beta. We just got a new beta build this afternoon, and there are several conduits that have been updated that are going to significantly improve RET Paladin sustained damage. And sustained damage has been a really big sore spot. No one's been saying that RET doesn't have really good burst. Burst is great. But sustained damage that impacts our viability in Mythic Plus and then in rating as well, especially single target sustained damage has been a really big problem for RET. And I'm not going to say that these changes are going to fix that, but they're going to go a really long ways to bringing RET back into the fold as being a really viable melee DPS. So we're going to take a look. Alright, before we get started, please be sure to subscribe if you aren't already. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. And we are about to take a look at some of the pretty substantial changes that have occurred to Soulbind Conduit. This is Expurgation on the first Soulbind Conduit that's being updated. This one was increased from 15% to 32%, and that's going to scale all the way up to 76% at the max rank. This is a really awesome conduit, I think. It's going to kind of depend on how much critical chance we have, because this is definitely one that if you get a long string of no crits, it's not going to be all that great. But having 76% of your damage dealt as a dot over every 2 seconds, so keep in mind that's every 2 seconds, so it's over 200%. It's going to give this huge benefit to Blade of Justice, unfortunately. So the next one here is this one, and this one is huge, honestly, as well. So Templar's Verdict is going to have a 30% chance, up from 20%, to strike again for 60% of its damage. If you remember, the first iteration of this was 6% of its damage, and it was such a ridiculously bad conduit that why would you ever take this? But a 30% chance, and that's going to scale up to 72% chance. And so basically you're going to have a 72% chance at max rank to strike again for 60% damage. That's going to be a ton of damage. And Templar's Verdict is a huge portion of the RET DPS right now. And consider that during your burst window, this is going to help you as well. So if you get this to proc a couple times while you've got an execution sentence in, it's going to increase your burst as well. So we will definitely keep an eye out on this one. It's a huge increase for single target. The next one is Truth's Wake. Now this one actually got nerfed just a little bit, so at max rank it's only 31% of the damage versus 36%, so that's kind of crappy, but I'm not sure that you're really going to take this one anyway. And even if in AoE situations, I think that Wake of Ashes cooldown is too long, and I think that the fact that these other ones got buffed probably means that you're probably not going to take this one anyway at this point. The next one here, Virtuous Command, this one it's just received an enormous buff, and I can't really describe how much better this one is. This is such a game changer, and this is going to be a must-take conduit, I believe, going into Shadowlands. So Virtuous Command, Judgment's going to grant you Virtuous Command for 6 seconds. Keep in mind, Judgment has about a 12-second cooldown. I believe it's reduced by haste. And that, so you're going to have that up at least 50% of the time, and it's definitely going to raise your the priority level for Judgment taking this conduit. So it's going to cause your Templar's Verdict, Crusader Strike, Blade of Justice, and your auto attacks to have a 100% chance to deal 40% additional damage. That's going to scale up to 96%. Now, keep in mind, holy damage is not mitigated by armor. So what this is going to do is basically means that you're going to pop Judgment, and then you're going to have a small, every 12 seconds, you're going to have this burst window where you're going to do double Templar's Verdicts, you're going to do double Crusader Strikes. Crusader Strike doesn't do any damage. Double Blades of Justice, and think about combining a Virtuous Command with Expurgation. You could potentially get a crit on Blade of Justice, and then it's going to do 100% of the damage again. Work really well together. You're going to get crits are going to be huge for. You're going to get some big monster Blade of Justice crits, so that's pretty cool, and your auto attacks as well. So I'm wondering now if the auto attacks in PvP, if the Reckoning PvP talent is going to be affected by this. So if you could do that big chunk 250% auto attack, if that would also then generate an additional 100% holy damage, that seems a little overpowered. I'm not sure if that's really how it's going to work. I would put a pin in that. I'm not sure if that's how it's going to work, but just as a hot take, that's potentially going to be one that's really strong in PvP. So, but in PvE as well, I mean, this is going to be, like I said, this is going to give you a pretty insane burst window every 6 seconds, and this calls back to a Colossus Smash that Warriors used to have, which was something similar to this, where you kind of had this short cooldown burst window that you could play around. So I think that's going to be really cool. I'm really excited about this one. Virtuous Command, I think this is going to be a must-have potency conduit. I think maybe with these changes, all of these changes combined, it is going to be a really big game changer for RET. There were a few other minor changes here to call out. Divine Call looks like it got nerfed pretty significantly, so that's going to, I'm not sure you're really going to take that one, but that is that definitely got nerfed quite a bit. I'm not sure the implications of this golden path. There's a lot of math going on this one, but it is one to take a look at. One that is interesting, though, is Light's Barding, which is not one that we've talked about a whole lot, but this increases the duration of your Divine Steed, and that got buffed a little bit. So I don't know if that 20% additional time on Divine Steed is really going to make that big of a difference, but it's kind of cool to see that they're actually making little, I mean, this is like the most incremental of incremental improvements to mobility, but it's definitely one to keep an eye on. Righteous Might is a potency conduit for the Necrolord Covenant, and this one received a huge nerf, and I'm not really sure why they're doing this with this, because Necrolord was actually, before all this recent rounds of nerfs, this was actually a pretty decent conduit, or a pretty decent covenant to take, potentially, but this one just seems, I'm not sure why they're doing this, because it's just kind of in the gutter now. So at the same time, Kyrian has received a huge buff, and if you've seen a prior video that I put out when we're looking at Ringing Clarity and how much that coincides with your Lawbringer PvP talent, and in that situation you could potentially pop a huge judgment and through your Divine Toll and do a lot of damage, and this is going to do three extra judgments, and that is going to proc Lawbringer 3 times, and that's going to be really strong. So we're taking a look at the next one. Shielding Words provides a little bit of buff, it looks like. I'm not sure this is the endurance conduit that you're going to take, but it's definitely an interesting one to do. It's only 36%, so you're going to be casting a lot of Words of Glory, so it is basically just a 36% kind of increased healing on Word of Glory, but it's going to be a shield instead of a heal, so that might be kind of good. So this Wrench Evil, I'm not really sure what to make of this one. I mean, this is a significant nerf if this really is 96% and not 100. You could kind of just pop around a corner and do it. So this is kind of weird if it's really is only 96%. So I have a feeling that maybe that gets rounded up or something. I'm not really sure, guys. That's kind of a weird one.
All right, so that is it for the changes. If you made it this far in the video, I really appreciate your support. Go ahead and hodge that like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button for more RET Paladin content. We will see you in the next one.